I'm recording stuff when you guys think we're not. Like, there's just cameras around here.
Well, we know.
There are some glaring security concerns in the mittens room.
That's what the red light,
the shower.
I was going to say that red light flashing in the bathroom is. How are you feeling? Are you going to be okay with the temperature of the lobby here?
I never said anything about the temperature.
Well, you're Mr. Ice Bath extraordinaire, so I just wanted to make sure.
Wim Hof himself.
Wim Hof. I feel pretty relaxed. Should I sit up in my seat a little bit more, or can I just hang out, relax like this?
Who are you asking?
Kick his shoes off.
Producer, manager?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you like the angle when you see them.
No? Okay, well then I guess I'll...
I don't think you like it. I don't think you're going to look like you look like.
All right. I don't know what episode we're on. We had a little bit of a break because Luke thought he had to take a vacation.
Your whole life's a vacation.
I know. You work here.
You don't have to tell me.
This is everybody's dream job.
You sleep right there. You're like the
It's too
dude.
cold in here now. I am. Thank you.
That's a huge compliment. Thank you.
I am the man. So we're back at it. How's everything going with you?
Everything's going good. I had, some sinus stuff. I very rarely get sick, but I
Can you smell yet?
It's coming back.
Have you abused the Flonase or whatever it is?
So the Zicam.
Zicam.
I still never looked that up. That was as addictive as Afrin, but I did stop taking it. I stopped taking it, but it also kind of went away. So yeah, it was nasty, man. It lasted. It just like clogged up sinuses. You can't smell that you can't taste, which that's really a problem.
Yeah.
I want to eat. I want to enjoy my food. So that was kind of a problem, but it's better now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Glad to hear that. Yeah. You're almost done with wrestling too?
Last week.
Well,
I don't want to get down that road. We might go to Matt Gear Nationals the week after state. So it's this weekend and then possibly next. But yeah, I said we would take a week fully off. But that's not how champions are made, is it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been giving any of the wrestlers there at the club performance enhancing?
Yes. Speeches.
Yeah.
You're bad and you're getting worse.
Famous quote of someone who shall not be named. Anyways, I think what we wanted to do with this episode, because it's funny, we've been getting some interesting feedback from specific customers and stuff about product and whatnot, some of our new formulations. Why are you guys always reformulating, blah, 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 because we just want to stay where we're at and never get better at anything. But I do want to talk about kind of some, not unsung heroes, but probably some product that doesn't get enough love. I know that you had some ideas or some products that I know that you really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, sometimes I think like...
oh, that's Brian's phone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cut.
It's Kylie. Should I put her on?
Put her on. Hey, babe, you're on the cast. What do you need?
Hey, Kylie.
Yeah.
You're on the podcast right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
You notice how the tone changed really quick on that one? Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Keep it PG.
That's really hard for me to do.
It is. We better talk later. Okay.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
You're never going to leave what my horse did.
It's a cool horse. So
cool horse.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, there are. We had mentioned the GlycoFeed. We can get into that a little bit, or let's just dive in. I think because it's a carbohydrate, it's hard to get like excited about a tasteless carbohydrate, right? And so it's unflavored. The reason we left it unflavored is because it's unlikely you're going to take a carbohydrate just by itself. Most people are using GlycoFeed intra-workout where they're taking some amino acids, EAAs, things like that. Pre-workout, it's a good, pre-workout. Carbs, just think of peri-workout. Before, during, after, that's the time where you want to stack carbohydrates in your nutrition. So the reason it's unflavored is because you're going to be mixing it theoretically with other supplements, protein afterwards, aminos during, pre-workout before, per se. But it is clustered dextrin or highly branched cyclic dextrin. Clustered dextrin is the trademark version, which we source for that product. It's a very cool, like I said, it's hard to get excited about a carbohydrate until you kind of realize what clustered dextrin is. And it's a starch like from potato starch, but it is the way it's made, picture like a big centrifuge where you take a potato starch, you'd spin it down into centrifuge and you separate the starch at the bottom. You do this several times until you have this. It is a high osmolality, meaning it mixes very easily in water.
And it passes through barriers a lot.
Because I'm going to say this wrong. It is, I can't even mess this up. It has a high molecular weight, low osmolality. So it mixes very well in water, but the high molecular weight means it also absorbs into your muscle cells very quickly. So it has a fast pass through the stomach and into the small intestine where your body absorbs your nutrients. So this way, you can very quickly replenish your glycogen levels without skyrocketing your blood sugars. Mm-hmm. There is a video, Luke, I'll send you the video if you could play it in here at this point now.
Cluster dextrin, also known as highly branched cyclic dextrin, is a new source of energy for athletes of all abilities and sports who wish to perform at the highest level. Conventional maltodextrin is derived from starch using an enzyme which randomly breaks starch. On the other hand, cluster dextrin is produced using glico's original enzyme. Therefore, it is a cluster structure unit degraded from starch. Cluster dextrin has a narrow molecular weight distribution as well as a high molecular weight. Let's take a closer look at the solubility, the gastric emptying time, and the enhanced stamina of cluster dextrin. When comparing the solubility to other macromolecule carbohydrate, we discover that cluster dextrin is more soluble. Insoluble carbohydrate cannot be efficiently digested as an energy source. Fast gastric emptying time is also a benefit of cluster dextrin. Compared to glucose, cluster dextrin moves faster from the stomach to the small intestine. Osmotic pressure is a key factor in transferring carbohydrates from the stomach to the small intestine. Lower molecule carbohydrates, such as glucose, dissolve well in water. However, the osmotic pressure of the solution is high. In designing a sports drink based on this type of energy source by adding other vitamins and minerals, the drink's osmotic pressure exceeds the optimal range. However, as the osmotic pressure of cluster dextrin solution is close to nil, it facilitates development of a new hypotonic sports drink with other nutrients considered ideal to be taken with carbohydrates. Stamina, another strong benefit of cluster dextrin. There are two ways to provide energy to the muscle, either by intaking glucose or by burning body fat. A combination of both provide the best result, which results in more stamina. Once carbohydrates enter the small intestine, it breaks down and transfers to the bloodstream as glucose. While at rest, a large amount of glucoside-degrading enzymes secreted on the small intestine wall accelerates this process. During exercise, it is known that the quantity of glucoside-degrading enzyme declines. However, sports drink-based low-molecule carbohydrates easily transfer to the bloodstream, causing blood sugar levels to shoot up, which leads to a significant amount of insulin secretion. Insulin secretion ends up preventing the body fat to burn. On the other hand, cluster dextrin is gradually degraded and absorbed to the bloodstream. As a result, there is no sudden rise of blood sugar, no insulin overload, and free fatty acids are created normally, becoming a constant energy source for muscles. To demonstrate the ability of cluster dextrin to deliver endurance energy, we asked 7 swimmers to swim as long as they could, and we randomly gave them either cluster dextrin, a glucose-based drink, or water. As a result, cluster dextrin group was able to swim longer than the others. German volume training. Muscles are composed of muscular fiber and sarcoplasm. Protein works on muscular fiber and carbohydrate for sarcoplasm. Carbohydrate with a low osmotic pressure will be a good energy source for sarcoplasm and building muscles. Cluster dextrin can act as an energy supply before an exercise, during training, and as a post-exercise recovery source. Cluster dextrin is a good energy source for runner, swimmer, bodybuilder, martial artist, cyclist, triathlete, and other athletes. To summarize, cluster dextrin is high solubility and stability, fast gastric emptying time, enhanced stamina. Cluster dextrin promises to be a good solution for athletes.
Hey, look at that video. a really cool explanation from the company we actually sourced this carbohydrate from. So the uses are kind of, exponential as far as what you could do with it. I'm a huge fan of intra-workout carbohydrates. That's the intra-workout nutrition in general, is usually when I take it. I don't take it every single workout, but especially on like high intensity days. If it's something where I'm also wanting to stay hydrated, let's say if it's like I'm doing like a CrossFit style, like functional training in the garage, in the summertime, so I'm sweating a lot. I want a lot of replenishment, glycogen replenishment and stuff. It really kind of ends up being an endurance product, because when you think about times where you quote gas out during a workout, it's unlikely it's not because your cardiovascular system, from weight training gets taxed and you slow down. Your blood sugars, or you get a low blood sugar, and that's when that feeling, that crash hits, is you've depleted all the glycogen in your muscle cell. Your body doesn't keep up with liver glycogen getting dispersed quickly enough, so you hit that wall. Endurance athletes refer to it as a bonk, when they stop. So this is a really good way that you can, as you're sipping water during a workout, you can keep those glycogen stores, those blood sugars, if you will, elevated for better endurance. But just a really cool overall product and a lot of uses. I mix it like, we mentioned wrestling, I mix it like for my son. It's a, very benign. It's just it's a potato starch, source. I mix it in his water bottle. He's drinking wrestling meats as he goes through these different matches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to make like a much better version of like Gatorade. Or what Gatorade's supposed to be, throw that GlycoFeed in there, some EAAs or something. Shoot, just for kids, you throw meal in there if you just want it to have flavor. But it's better than Gatorade, that's for sure. And the studies on it, I believe, were on swim trials. I don't remember the exact thing about it, but the group that used the GlycoFeed, the endurance was just phenomenal. It was way better.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning you use it intra-workout, but it's peri-workout, pre, intra, post. It's a performance. To me, I look at it like a performance supplement, but really, I sold it in stores just to moms and dads that would do like, their boot camp fitness in the mornings. They'd work out on an empty stomach, but they'd be crashing on it. Well, just do a scoop of this before you work. Do half a scoop before you work out. Get at least like 15 grams in there. You'll feel better throughout your workout. If
you ever take bodybuilding style workouts where you get 45 minutes, 60 minutes in to come to the end of the workout, and you're flat, like you no longer have that pump. It's not because your blood flow, your heart's pumping, your blood's flowing, but you flattened out because you lost that cellular density, that cellular hydration, because water follows carbohydrates, and once you deplete your body of those intercellular carbohydrates, that's when you kind of become flat. So this is a great way to keep that feeling up, where you are perpetually kind of pumped. It's a great pump product as far as just cellular volumization. One cool thing about it too is because it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels, you don't have a big insulin release. So a lot of times, if you take like a dextrose, say, when you get in working out, which is sugar, okay, dextrose, glucose, you take that. Well, then you have this pancreatic insulin release. Insulin helps drive those sugars into your blood vessels. From your blood vessels into your muscles, but that kind of shuts down fat burning also, where this doesn't have that same effect. Same as we mentioned, like with the this is all going to be it was all in the video we just showed you, but this it also doesn't have the same effect on like some people with I'm like this with dextrose. I can do a little bit, but if I try to do a big dose of dextrose, it's a little tough on your stomach. You get some stomach discomfort. This, because it really passes through the stomach cavity very simply and quickly, there's no stomach discomfort. So it's just it's I said, tough to get excited about a carbohydrate. This is one, if you get in the science of it and you start using it, you can kind of geek out over it.
And another thing that's really good about it is it's a very good transporter. So whatever else you're mixing in with it, your EAAs, protein, creatine, HMB, anything like that, it's going to get to the muscle cells.
That's kind of my carbohydrates in general. This one's particularly because it's such a good peri-workout carbohydrate. It works well. Think of it as like it kind of you have your like starchy carbs like waxy maize, with like carbolin is a product example. And then you have your sugary carbs, like your dextrose products. This is like the best of both worlds as far as transport that you mentioned, like you'd get from a dextrose. And then the not raising your blood sugars in a more sustained effect. It's still quick like a dextrose, but also the more sustainability of like a waxy maize. The problem with waxy maize is you mix it up, it doesn't have the same osmolality as this does, so it's like sticky, sticky kind of gummy, doesn't blend well in water. Which this mixes up just like a dextrose, just like a sugar doesn't want to completely dissolve. So. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I like talking about this supplement because it has so many good applications across, like I said, just for the general person that, they work out, even if you work out in the middle of the day, but you haven't eaten in a while, first thing in the morning, whenever it is, late at night, having that in your system is going to help a lot. But then take it to a performance athlete, this to me is probably like the best supplement that CrossFitters could take. Pre-intra, especially intra, if you're training for whatever competition, you're training 2 to 3 hours at a time, and you're not taking something like GlycoFeed, I think you're doing it wrong.
Well, like on competition day too.
Absolutely.
Any kind of like sport, like CrossFit would be an example where you have event heat or event type sports where if it's let's say you're running track and you're an 800 meter runner, well you have to run your heat race, your semifinal, and the final. Right. So that's 3 800 meter runs you're going to do on that day. You're not going to get to eat a big sandwich and some bread and stuff to get those carbohydrates. This would be a really good option to help replenish those glycogen levels. CrossFit, again, you're going to be doing 2 to 3 events in a day plus warm up and stuff. So keeping those up. I mentioned wrestling, which is shorter burst, but still you're going to have several matches in a day. This is one you can take, not be filling up on. You can still feel very light, loose, but have those carbohydrate stores, those glycogen stores fully charged, I guess. Charge your batteries.
Yep, definitely. What else you got on your list of unsung heroes?
The one I wanted to bring up was phosphatidic acid. PA is it's commonly referred to. It's a fat, if you will. It's a acid. It's a fat, but phosphatidic acid or PA is a compound. It's a trademark compound by Mediator, and what it does is it drastically improves mTOR or muscle protein synthesis. So this is the main kind of the key component, key ingredient in our product. We just simply call it mTOR. So mTOR is the kind of the nomenclature that stands for protein synthesis. And this is a signal that your body sends. So your body's not always building new muscle. You don't just eat protein. Your body, it would be nice, right? If your body, you ate, these muscle tissues, these proteins, your body just turned those into your own muscle. It doesn't work like that. You have to have the mTOR signal. That is the signal telling your body to use these amino acids from these complete chains of protein you eat. It's a protein is a chain of amino acids. Your body breaks those down in the digestion process. And then the mTOR signals your body to use those to build new muscle tissue. This is when you work out. Strength training, there's several things that increase mTOR, increase that signaling. Resistance training does it. High protein diets and increasing your nitrogen helps turn on that signal. What else? Leucine, just the amino acid leucine, HMB, which is a leucine metabolite, does it, but no, just over the counter. Well, and anabolic steroids. If you wanted to simply how testosterone works is it just takes that anabolic window, that mTOR signal, and just blows it wide open. So the reason you build so much more muscle tissue on an anabolic, hormone is because it turns on that pathway. So your body is building it's signaling for your body to build much more protein than you would naturally. Phosphatidic acid is a natural way. I don't say it's like a steroid, but the mechanism of it, maybe you could compare it to like a very low dose of Anavar or something. Now all the steroid gurus are going to come out and say like, it's nothing like, but I don't mean it is Anavar. I mean, a low dose of Anavar, the benefit you would get is you turn on more protein synthesis, you increase your nitrogen retention. And this is the same thing that happens with phosphatidic acid. I believe there's studies, it's very well studied, very well documented. Phosphatidic acid, it increases protein synthesis compared to the placebo group, like 700%.
Yep.
Over normal levels or over strength training alone. So it's a really cool supplement. I've always said phosphatidic acid, because it works, it's so noticeable when you take it in terms of muscle gain over time, but also just strength gains, even in the first few workouts you take it. I think if it were, let's say, cost effective like creatine, I think you'd see phosphatidic acid everywhere. Yeah, but because it's a trademarked ingredient, it is relatively expensive. Maybe not something your everyday just casual weightlifter wants to take. I don't think you see it as much, but if the cost ever was like a creatine, I think you'd see it in every product. So it's just a really cool way to increase strength and muscle gains.
Yeah. One of the best ways I've heard, how it works, your muscle fiber. So if you just take it down to that one strand, it's kind of like a straw. And so being able to build muscle, you got to pull in those amino acids into the muscle tissue. Well, what PA is going to do, or what a product like mTOR will do, is it will make that straw wider,
like this
so that you can put more building material into that muscle.
Yeah, it's like taking the straw that's pulling all your amino acids and stuff and make it a garden hose, so everything just flows better. Your body can utilize those materials better.
You'll recover better. So, I mean, in return to that, you'll build a little bit more muscle. You can stay a little bit leaner. So you were saying every time I've read about PA, the pretext to that is it functions the same way as anabolic steroids would as far as signaling.
Yeah.
mTOR.
Yeah, I think there. You mentioned the fat loss. I think there's some fat loss components of it as well, which is kind of cool. The other we mentioned like mTOR. A cool way that someone explained mTOR to me like this to kind of help people to make it make sense. So think of mTOR or mTOR, protein synthesis, as you have the building blocks, right? Which are these amino acids. Think of that like electricity. Okay. Like that's the actual current that's going to help turn the light on, but you don't have a signal yet. The light doesn't turn on until you hit the switch. And that switch is the mTOR pathway. So you have to have both. You have to have these amino acids present. You have to have the construction materials present, essential amino acids that are essential to get from a dietary source to build muscle. And then secondly, you have to have a reason for your body to decide to use those amino acids to construct new tissue. Again, it can, you weight train, you increase mTOR, you eat a lot of protein, amino acids, your nitrogen level goes up, you can increase it. But there's nothing over the counter that's going to do it quite to the level of phosphatidic acid.
Yeah. Another one I want to talk about. It's popular, but I don't think enough people know about it still, or I guess maybe it's just popular in our space per the last, or if you go back 5 years when COVID started, but NAC, N-Acetyl Cysteine. Yeah, that's probably my favorite product. And what NAC does is it's a precursor is probably not the right word, but it stimulates glutathione. And glutathiones are master antioxidant. And not only that, but in vitro, it's been shown to stop viral replication in the flu. I don't know if there's studies on COVID, but kind of the same practical application.
I think that came out during COVID.
It did come out during COVID.
Yeah, that's when it was trying to get. I don't know who, but it was.
It's good for respiratory health, right? Yeah. Loosens the mucus in the lungs. It helps with a lot of that stuff. And this is just anecdotal evidence, but I think we brought it on in 2022, so COVID was still kind of a thing
around,
depending on who you talk to. I had family members left and right that were testing positive for COVID, and I never got sick once. So that's anecdotal. I've seen a lot of people talk about, their whole family goes down with something and they don't get sick or they don't get as sick.
Well, you mentioned the big thing with NAC, especially this, like we were talking about me being with like sinuses. You mentioned it reduces viral replication. So like how a virus spreads, you come in contact with the virus and it, that viral cell duplicates. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. So the quicker you can stop, then your immune system kicks up and, it starts fighting off those viral cells. Well, if you can stop that before, maybe you did come in contact with it, but you can stop that before symptoms occur. Or if, symptoms do occur, and I think that the dosage when you come in contact or have symptoms is like 2,400 milligrams a day, which is tiny amounts. It's, 600 milligrams in a scoop, so it's a small scoop. But if you can reduce that, then you're going to, because you've reduced the amount of virus that can spread, you're going to reduce the symptoms you receive or get, whether it be you get no symptoms or you're going to decrease the amount of days or feelings of being sick.
Yep.
So cool. It also has some cool stuff I've seen on it that actually increases nitrogen retention too.
Yeah.
So maybe possibly some performance
I was
benefits from it.
Scouring the web one day because I want to start giving it to the boys, and I've seen like NAC gummies for kids and stuff, and they're 13 months, so I don't know when the proper time is to start them on that. I've talked to our doctor about it. Anyways, I didn't go click on the links or anything, but there are some NIH studies and some different, published studies about the effects it could have for people or kids with like ADHD and some other things. I've even seen stuff that they've tested on kids with autism. Now, again, I'm just saying I didn't go in and like look and see what these studies were about, but there's a lot more to
there's
it.
uses to it. Yeah. I think it's definitely multifaceted. NAC is N-Acetyl Cysteine. It's a amino acid derived product, single amino acid derived product. We give to our kids if they come down with cold and stuff. We don't do the 2,400 milligrams. We do 600 milligrams. Put it in some orange juice in the morning. It's kind of what do you call it? Sour, but if you mix it with like a juice or something, they actually think it makes it taste better.
I was gonna say I think it complements flavors. I like mixing it with EAAs or
if it has that kind of that sour or tangy bite to it, citrusy bite to it, actually can kind of enhance the flavor. What did I try to put it in here recently? I put it in my bone broth. It tastes like shit. Yeah. Sour bone broth, not good.
I had somebody tell me they put it in their coffee. I'm like, why the hell would you do that?
How'd you ruin your coffee? Yeah. Sour coffee is not good. So you got to be careful what you put it in. But
on the NAC too, and I think this is going back to performance athletes, stuff like that. You always want to guard your immune system. And when I'll just take it back to CrossFit because of competitive space, the volume, the intensity that goes into a sport like bodybuilding on earth. Yeah, exactly. Or even people that are heavy into bodybuilding. No offense,
CrossFitters. Okay, we think you're great.
But you're worn down all the time. So if you can limit your ability to get sick or to get beaten down from your training and then get sick, NAC's a good defense tool to put into your regimen. Because if you're out missing training because you're sick, or you can't ever get healthy because you're sick, then you're never gonna hit your goals or whatever it is you want to do. So any athlete, because of your heavy training, NAC should be a staple. Yeah, you shouldn't even think about it.
I mean, this is hopefully you're buying Titan NAC, but there's several brands that have NAC. It's a really inexpensive. What you call it, preventative or whatever. Gosh, ours is, I think, 240 servings. I know we've done some marketing on it where you break it down to like, reduce your family's, cold and flu season, for what's the price of it?
It's like, I don't know,
$30, $25.
Oh yeah. It's like $25.
And for 240 servings. So it's pennies literally for servings for, a family to reduce their chances of cold and flu for months at a time. So,
Yep. What else you got on there?
That's really what I had. I thought the phosphatidic acid, we already talked about the GlycoFeed as far as kind of unsung or products that are, I don't think you can give creatine enough.
All the applications for creatine.
Yeah, it seems like they're always finding something new, but I don't think it's not. It's pretty well known and rehearsed and studied and touted. So. But these are, I wouldn't say they're up there with creatine in terms of effectiveness, not the right word, usages, I guess. Certainly when you consider costs involved in terms of the phosphatidic acid and GlycoFeed, but there's just some cool stuff, some cool compounds and ingredients out there that they don't get enough accolades because they're not the sexy like stimulants and things like that.
Yeah, I know. We're hip on it. I know a lot of people do take it, but there is an importance in the quality of your multivitamin. And I feel like too many people will just end up going to, Walmart or wherever.
Checks the box.
They get their multivitamin in there and those hard pressed tablets or whatever it is. You always have a good take on, trace minerals and micronutrients. So I guess do your little pitch on essentials or multivitamin, why people need to take it, the reasons why they should be taking it due to our food and all that stuff.
So multivitamin, really what I would say is important is a trace mineral complex, which is, we have vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, K2, all these things, but really what your I'd call those like immunovitamins, right? But a lot of times what we're missing in our foods, there's a multitude of reasons, but let's just like today, like farming, you're going to have less nutrients per, poundage of food grown from the ground because of soil degradation. So you raise crops, these crops come up, and the nutrients in your fruits and vegetables and things are these minerals taken out of the ground. And if you chop off that fruit and there's no kind of recycling those nutrients back into the ground. You just, the next year you take out those nutrients again, you chop it off, you eat those, and this is a cycle, so you end up with topsoil that is very degraded of nutrients. So the foods today aren't as nutrient dense as foods of yesteryear. So you get the calories, but they don't have the same density of nutrients in them. And a good way, kind of insurance policy, like we here, I'm talking to all of us in this room, we try to eat pretty healthy, a pretty balanced diet, and you try to get your fruits and veggies and stuff. But really, I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to live.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, meal prep the best I can. I don't always have all this colorful, foods on my plate and stuff. So I always think of a multivitamin as a good insurance policy because you have soil degradation, over farming and things. We can still get these nutrients just in supplement form. And so when I mentioned trace minerals, these are the things missing in our food that should be found in the ground that you can supplement from, and then now replace those, replace those minerals and vitamins and minerals that you were missing. And then with that, if you're talking our essentials complex, it is a full spectrum trace mineral complex, but also has, a full B vitamin complex. It has methylated B vitamins in there. We have a really large amount of, I mentioned like the immunovitamin, vitamin D3 and K2, which is really important for immune. Typically, you're going to find like maybe anywhere from 200 to 400 IUs of vitamin D in a multivitamin or trace mineral complex. We have 2,500 IUs, so this huge dose of vitamin D in there. Really important, especially this time of year when you have less sunlight during the day. It's cold. You're not outside as much. You need those. Your body can synthesize vitamin D in the skin from the sun.
Before we go on with that too, vitamin D. I mean, it's a very interesting vitamin. It's technically not even a vitamin.
A hormone. Yeah,
it's a hormone, but during COVID, they found a lot of people that were, getting COVID bad. They were super deficient in vitamin D. So it plays a lot of factors. In our health.
So most time if you're getting a multivitamin trace mineral complex, it would be smart to go then get a separate vitamin D, which is most people who are kind of astute in the nutrition supplement world are trying to do it right. They do. With the essentials, you don't have to. It has that large. It's one of the things we get in formulating products for Titan. I kind of look at what I want. Well, I would want one. I didn't have to go get 2-3 bottles, D3 and K2 and calcium and this. I just put all in one formula. So it's a little different than maybe what you're going to find like a Centrum 1 a day. Right. There's 180 capsules. You need to take 3 capsules twice a day. There is a men's and women's formula, but it really comes down to like what we're missing and replacing that what we're missing, not just checking the box. You mentioned like the hard press tablet that is once even with, in the best case scenario, it has the things you need in it. Very unlikely. I've heard funny enough, like septic system cleaners. They said they find a lot of those. Yeah. They find a lot of those in the septic system, the hard press tablets, and eat them and you just shit them out. So you need either a really good soft press, time released, or what we use is just a vegan capsule. It's a cellulose capsule that dissolves, so you can get those nutrients very, very easily absorbed into your body.
Yep. You mentioned it, methylated. We use methylated B vitamins and folic acid, right?
Methylfolate and
it's the B12 or B6.
It's it's methylcobalamin instead of cyanocobalamin.
Right.
Yeah. Both of those. Now there's like a genetic thing for a small percent. My wife's actually one of them, where she does not absorb folic acid. So folic acid isn't found in food. Like it's like in I don't want to say this. It's not found in nature. So it's a way to get folate that we synthesize. Now we synthesize methylfolate as well, but for the people who can't absorb folic acid, the methylfolate. So it's not really like, hey, this is better for everyone, but for those who have an issue with it, it's a simple switch to a methylfolate versus folic acid. So we use methylfolate.
Yeah. Aren't the methylated versions supposed to
absorb better?
Yeah.
Cool. In both cases.
Last one I got, and I don't think it gets enough attention, is omega-3. Especially the sources where you get it from. I mean, everybody knows, take your fish oil because it's good for your brain, your heart, all that stuff. But what I don't think they realize is like the sources of where you get it. And you definitely don't want to get it from, a place like Walmart.
Yeah.
Ours is sourced from freshwater anchovies. So I've always heard, and it makes sense, that you need to get your omega-6s from freshwater sources. In the American diet, I think I can't remember now off the top of my head, but we eat like 6 times more of omega-6s than omega-3s.
Yeah, there's a ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s, omega-6 is what your body needs, and too much of it causes inflammation. And so it's not that omega-3s in and of themselves decrease inflammation, but you want to balance out that omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about with like similar to like over farming with soil degradation and stuff. So you have like people mention like grass-fed beef, and why is grass-fed beef better? Well, when you have grain-fed beef, then you have a higher concept. So like beef should have lots of, and it does. Steaks have lots of nutrients and iron and things in it that your body needs. But also when you have just, regular feedlot cows and they're just fed grains, they're going to have a higher concentration of omega-6 than you do in a natural, out pasture raised, free range grass fed steak. So one, our diets used to have a lot more omega-3s to 6. Then you need more omega-6s than O3s. It's skewed. Same with like salmon. So you think like fish, well, that's a good source of omega-3s. Yeah, if it's a wild caught Atlantic salmon that's out there eating other fish and things, but most of our salmon comes from salmon farms, and these are just trapped salmon that they're just fed corn pellets to, so they don't have the same omega-3 content. So that's part of it. The other thing is, I mean, speaking just for myself, like how much fish am I really? I will eat fish sometimes. I'm just not getting that much. So the omega-3, I'm glad you brought that one up. It's very popular. People know omega-3s. I don't know if it's misunderstood as far as the need for it, but the why. Why is omega-3 so important? Why is it heart healthy? It all goes back to inflammation and just kind of the imbalance that has become our not even overly processed, just our food process of delivery and manufacturing, how to feed a massive amount of people. We've subsequently ended up with more omega-6s in our diet than there should be. So because those omega-6s and omega-3s compete for absorption, it's a good idea to supplement with an omega-3. Good for joints, joint health, brain health. It's the two active ingredients. So this is something with fish oil. I always mentioned it to look at. Like if you mentioned like the Walmart brands, there's nothing wrong with them. But one thing you want to look at, ours was what we would call like an extra strength or triple strength fish oil. So fish oil is not the active ingredient in the capsule, because that's just like the carrier. You get it from fish oil, but the active ingredient that's good for like brain health and stuff is DHA and EPA. So that's the active ingredient. So if you're comparing bottles, ours has 700 milligrams combined of EPA and DHA. You can get the same 1,500 milligram capsule that has 75 and 25, right? 100 milligrams versus 700 milligrams. So that's really the active ingredient you want to look for, is the EPA and DHA. That's what you're paying for when you buy fish oil, is not the fish oil capsule, 1,500 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams, whatever of the oil. You're paying for the EPA and DHA. DHA like for pregnant moms and newborns. You have like kids gummies and stuff. It's really important for brain development and things. So lots of stuff with omega-3s on brain development and joint health and stuff. But most of it comes back to anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah, I wanted to bring those up because quality always matters, in my opinion, but those are two that I think people overlook big time in the quality department, because they're just more likely to go to find the cheapest one that they can get.
The other thing too, just to kind of blow our own horn here with the Titan Omegas, is one thing we source. We put natural vitamin E in ours. We're not making fish oil. We don't manufacture our own fish oil, but when we source for our fish oil, we have natural vitamin E, which is a good acts as a preservative inside those capsules. So I always say, if you get your fish oil and it actually smells like fish, it's rancid. You don't want it. If I were to serve you a plate of fish and it just has this terrible fishy smell, it's slightly more expensive. So if you're in a big box store, it might make more sense to have the cheaper version. But we use a natural vitamin E. We actually put source ones that have a little lemon oil in there as well to help get rid of like the fishy burps and taste and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. Luke, Do you got any unsung heroes you want us to talk about in the supplement department?
You guys covered the ones that I like.
Yeah.
What's your favorite supplement, Luke? StimRush. We'll go into that. Well, that's another episode. We'll go into that more because there's some cool stuff like with the Drobium, the Synactive. I'm still reading stuff about Synactives. I have customers that are more well versed than I am. Like, I just thought it sounded cool, and that this is what we got to find a use for. The ingredient we got to find a use for. But for those of you listening, do a search on Synactive. It's a trademarked ingredient. Very cool. It's not found in very many pre-workouts for sure. But lots of cool methods and usages for it.
Yeah, I didn't think I was really going to use the StimRush that much because I don't care that much for the high stim stuff. But it's a really good energy. It's a nice, even energy. You don't feel cracked out from it, but you do feel really good.
It's funny. So these, I didn't plan on either. And what the coolest thing is when you get like, I've gotten customer feedback so much now on the StimRush that I want to go try. I'm like, well, I need to work out in the morning. So I don't use a lot of stimulants. And two, I'm working out, at the earliest, 4 or 5 o'clock. So it's not something I'm looking to get a lot of caffeine and stimulants in late in the day. But because of the feedback and stuff we've got, it's been overwhelmingly popular. I gotta find some time that I can play with it a little bit.
And they taste amazing.
It tastes
All
good.
of them taste really good. So
Cool.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll wrap it up at that because I think those are kind of the major ones that we wanted to talk about.
Yep. Questions? Let us know.